Yeah.
Well, they had the inhibiting building here, and it's a long building where they put these inhibitors on the rocket motors. And what the inhibitor is, it would slow the burning process of the propellant in the rocket. Because if you didn't have the inhibitors on it, it would either have an explosion or it burn too fast. And sometimes they did have explosions. And they were like plastic tapes. And in the building they had this big fan duct work, and that was put there to take the fumes out. But it was so intense that the fumes in there, that my mother worked there, that some of the people would open the windows up in the midwinter to get the fumes out. They had to work with their winter coats on during World War II because the fumes were so strong, and a lot of the people got sick in there, which I found out later. And they'd attach these inhibitors on the rocket propellant, and they're like plastic strips. It would just be used to regulate the burn of the propellant in the rocket to slow it down. And that's what this long building was. It was about 3 sections, no more. Over here, and they'd assemble all the parts together. They'd take the inhibitors and put them in with the warheads. And then there was a big overpass over that walkway there. And it went over to the powder building, which was on the right. And Steve, you said one kid fell through one.
Yeah, a kid did. It was a wooden floor. He fell through, and boy, he didn't look good. He got down here. But that accident got the military to, they decided to get rid of some of those things. The way they decided to get rid of them is blow them up. So there was a big water tank up here and the big trestle there. And they set some charges. You could hear it all over the South Shore. It was way overkill. But yeah, but they did get rid of those things. But they made a mess, and that trestle was covered in transite and asbestos transite, corrugated stuff, and they just sprayed it everywhere. So the cleanup from that was very intensive. But,
And that was the state or the feds?
That was the feds.
The feds,
Yeah.
okay. And I want to make sure we know
Yeah.
who to blame.
Oh, I got plenty of stories about the state too.
It knocked out some windows too.
It did, yeah. I knocked out some windows, some cracked foundations, I guess, up on Turkey Hill. There's some people that had to get some money.
When would that have been about?
I'm gonna say like 83. Yeah, 83.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were here.
They were quiet about it. They didn't tell you when they were doing
I
this.
guess not, yeah.
Well, they had a rail line that came in along here up to like a loading platform. And then there was another one that came around the back, and it came into like a U-shaped configuration of the building. And when they assembled the rocket, each person had like a cemented in compartment to work in case there was a blast that would go up. So, and the rockets varied in size about 1.25 inches all the way up to about 12 inches diameter.
With an iron door behind you that would slide shut if there was a problem.
Right.
You were in there whether you were having the problem or you weren't the person having the problem. If you were in trouble. You weren't getting out. Vietnam was mostly up, I think, building 80, which is in a different part of the park. I don't know if this part was open for Vietnam or not.
So they had the landmines up there.
Yeah.
They had an accident in Hanover at the fireworks. And somebody was killed. And that's why they shut it down. This is in operation only for about 3 weeks. And it took them about maybe half a year to get everything together to start production. Then they had that big accident over in Hanover, and then they shut it down because the mines were too volatile. And the worker, I guess he went for a coffee break. When he came back to mix the powder, blew up. So he was killed, and there were, I think, 15 others that were injured. But they also had the explosions here too during that assembly. That powder was just off the
For historic reasons. Hopefully the state will take a small section of this anyway and clean it up and, you know, have an interpretive signage or something like that explaining. Maybe with there is an old map, an old military map that showed all of the rail lines throughout the whole park, so that would be nice to have there. That's a good project for the future. But we did want to save a little bit. Most of it was sold off for scrap metal, but we kept the stuff. Of course, to do the sales pitch for the Friends of Wompatuck. So I'd like to invite Bill Bowles, the president of the Friends of Wompatuck, to say a couple of words.
That's enough.
First of all, thank you all for coming today. Friends of Wompatuck is a 501c3 organization. Our goal is to better the park. The state only has so much money that they can spend here, and they can't do a lot of incidentals like the signboard at the beginning of the park. Friends of Wompatuck raises money and does things that DCR can't, like fixing the paved road that had all the potholes 2 years ago, putting in the handicap access ramp in front of the visitor center, working on trails. This morning we built 2 bridges. I would hope that many of you would consider joining the Friends of Wompatuck, because the more members we have, the more politically active we can be. Steve mentioned that a lot of money had been spent in the park by the state in the last couple of years. That's actually millions of dollars that wouldn't have gotten spent had, I like to refer to the Friends of Wompatuck as a squeaky wheel and not a pain in the rear end. If you're a squeaky wheel, sometimes you get greased. If you're a pain in the rear end, you may go in for surgery. If you join the Friends of Wompatuck, you're part of preserving the park and making it better. Even if you never show up for a trail work day or never show up to paint walls or do anything like that, you're part of making our park better, and it is our park. And I'm only supposed to say a couple of words, so I'm done. Oh, one more thing. If you stop at the visitor center, there's a brand new map that Friends just printed, and every single intersection in Wompatuck, and this is almost unique, has a number on it. So if you're wandering around on trails and you get lost and you look at your map, you know where you are. Somebody told me the story of the woman who spent the night here in Wompatuck cross-country skiing and couldn't find her way out. Well, had this map with those arrows been up, and had she had the map in her pocket or on her phone, she wouldn't have got lost. Last but not least, more words. Tim is wearing the Trail Watch Wompatuck jacket. Trail Watch Wompatuck is a bunch of friends of Wompatuck who volunteer to be sort of docents. They ride their bikes around, they hike, and whenever they see anyone, they say, "Hi, I'm Bill from Trail Watch Wompatuck. How's your hike going?" Frequently, we come across people, like one example, there was this woman running and she was drenched in sweat, and I happened to come across her, and you know, a weird guy like me comes up to a woman, she's going to blow him off. You know, "Hi, how's it going?" And she was going to blow me off, and she saw DCR Trail Watch. She says, "I've been lost for the last 2 blunk hours, and how do I get?" And so I took her back to the visitor center. That's what Trail Watch Wompatuck does. And that's a subset of what the Friends of Wompatuck does. And now, I finally said my couple of words and I'm shutting up.
Okay, now we're going to head out. I think that's as much as we have to say. So everybody take their time. Spend the afternoon in here if you want, you know. Well, I'm going to head out to the car so you can follow me out.